2024.
Alright, so I wish you the best going onwards. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So if you look back on your 2024, how would you say your 2024 has been for you?
It's been filled with ups and downs, honestly. From one problems to another. But above all, I can say for a fact that, I thank God for life. I thank God that at least I've been able to meet new friends. I mean, business-wise now, friends that impacted or giving business advice that would help me for next year. And I also working on something, and hopefully next year it's going to kick off. Just give you a tip, like I'm going for a consulting seminar next year, January, and it's something that's added to my profile too. It's the line of the farming line now, and again. I think
Love that for you. Love that for you. So let's talk about the economy, because we cannot talk about 2024 without talking about the economy this year. So the economy this year, it was but in all of this, for some people it was still great. So for some people it wasn't. So how was that for you?
I would say in between.
Okay.
It wasn't not totally bad. At least I got funds for things that I wanted to do. I mean, depending on the urgency of that stuff. No major projects I couldn't achieve because, like you said, the economy was a little bit cranky and all of that. So it's in the middle. Yeah, just in the middle. Yeah.
All right, I love that for you, and I wish you the best going onward. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Hi.
Hi.
Compliments of the season. So if you look back on your year 2024, how would you say the year has been for you?
My year has been marvelous. I think I can say my year has been marvelous, and God really showed up for me this year.
Oh, I wouldn't ask you to tell us your story, but I was really moved and touched by the fact that you said marvelous, because we've had different stories. We've had some people say not so great, 2023 was better, but yours has been marvelous. Okay, so if you're going into 2025 now, how are you hoping 2025 will be?
I'm hoping 2025 will be a better year for me actually, and I'm just working towards making 2025 a better year for me.
So that was my next question, because I was going to ask you. You said 2024 was marvelous, so I'm taking it was better than 2023. So what did you do differently this year that made it marvelous? Because you have to put in the work, right? God blesses you, but you put in the work. So what did you do differently?
I think I prayed more this year. Yes, that's it. Because I was not really a person that I don't really pray. Like, I just pray once, maybe just go to church, but I think I really improved on praying about things this year, and God really showed up for me this year.
I love that for you. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best going onward. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. Compliments of the season. I wish you the best. Thank you. Compliments of the season, sir. So this year, if you want to look this year, 2024 now, how has it been for you?
It's been good.
Just good. And you are balling, So this tipping, no touch you at all. How about you, sis? So how would you say the year has been for you?
But thank God, Sha. Thank God for life.
Okay. So if you want to compare this 2024 now to, let's say, 2023, which one will you say was better?
2023 is better, more better than 2024.
What about you?
Same year, this 2024.
Okay, but for 2025 now, how are you hoping it will be for 2025?
It should be good, we are praying to God, it should be good,
Okay. What about you, sir?
It should be more better than 2024.
Okay.
That's what I have to say.
But let me just ask you this last question. If you define one word, say, okay, this one word. Okay, let's say today is the 30th of December. Tomorrow is the last day of the year. If you go crossover service now, because you will go crossover service now, what's that word for that? God, please, what's the thing that you different?
I need big money.
What about you, sir?
$100 million.
Period. $100 million. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best. Happy New Year. So, sir, how was your 2024? How it be for you?
That is very, very nice to me. I really enjoyed the year very well. So the year, I really gained many things in my life. I saw a lot of changes in my life.
So all this hardship flying around, all of that, touch you at all?
It touched me, but With God, all things are possible.
So if you were to describe this 2024 with just one word, what would you say?
Well, what can I have? I don't even know the word I can give, but it is very, very hard. But it is God. With God, all things are possible.
So we thank God. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Happy New Year.
And you too.
So how has the year 2024 been for you?
It was a very great year for me. Like, I achieved a lot of things.
I can see the drip. So I know that it has to be a great year. Look at the gold chain. It's chaining. And then the sunglasses. So
it was
it
a very good day for me, yeah.
Right.
Very good
So
day for me.
if I ask you to describe or compare rather your 2024 to your 2023, which one would you say?
20 was very rough, very rough.
23?
20 years, it was very rough. It wasn't good at all. But this year, since like February, I've been having positive changes in my life, and everything has been just.
Life just So what's your hope for 2025?
Bigger dreams. I have bigger dreams for 2025. More than what I achieved this year. I have more projects to focus on next year.
All right, so I wish you the best going on. Well, thank you so much. This year, 2024, I take go for you.
2024 is okay. Nothing wrong with 2024. The government is trying to amend the situation of the country.
Are you sure?
100%, I'm sure.
Okay.
The Tinubu is working. The work is in progress. 2 days ago, we reopened Warri Refinery and the other refinery. So he's not a pretender like the US president that everything is okay under subsidy and we are laughing and we are dead. But this one, we are dead and we are achieved. So we are coming up.
So if I want to ask you that you should describe this 2024 now with one word, what would that word be?
Renew hope.
I was even thinking it in my mind that yes, it has to be hope. It has to be hope. But then generally for you personally, not just for the country, personally for you, financially, your relationship wise, everything, how was that for you?
Well, the inflation in the country is a general problem. And once you have something to give people upstairs, so you are enjoying the country. But if you don't have anything, unemployment, serious person, and others, so you can complain about the country. The more they increase, the more we increase. So we are all okay.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. A year with a lot of learning and unlearning. A year with lots of prayer. A soft year. A year of renewed hope. A year with economic challenges. But still, God came through. That's what the streets has to say on today's edition of Street Talk. So when next we come your way again, I am Chinazo Uche Fojama. And on behalf of Delta Television, the People's Pride, I wish you a Happy New Year.
Welcome back from the street. Thank you so much, Inaza Uche of Fojama. And lots of answers from our respondents. Someone said 2023 was better than the year 2024. So I can imagine what he went through in the year 2024. He must have been through a lot to say 2023 was way better than 2024. I told you before we went on the street that most Nigerians, or some Nigerians, had a difficult time in the year 2024. But just like I think that was the last respondent, he said that inflation is a general thing. It's affecting everyone in the country. Or if you have something to give to the people, if you have something to sell, if you have something upstairs to give to people in exchange for money, you'll be able to stay afloat. You'll be able to go through it all and still be able to get money, to buy food, to take care of the family and take care of yourself. But it's not easy. It's really not easy. How do you describe the outgoing year 2024, Gaga?
Well, I think that 2024 was very, very challenging for Nigerians. And somehow, I just feel like 2025 will be much better than 2024.
What's giving you that
because I feel
optimism?
like it's the same way people have received and prepped themselves for January. I feel like people will be more prepared for the year 2025, in my opinion, because I think it's the wise thing to do. Really, it's really the wise thing to do. when you've gone through challenges in the year 2024, of course, you should not be planning to live your life the same way you lived it in the year 2024. So most Nigerians, and with the feeling that most Nigerians know that I don't think they're quite optimistic about this present administration. So when there's that challenge of optimism, so it just makes them to brace up, like, okay,
No matter
the
what,
government is not coming to save us, we have to save ourselves. And when you have that mentality and you put in the work, so it tends to alleviate and reduce the challenges and the sufferings. So that's why I feel like 2025, not because the country as well will do something better for the people, but I feel like the people will be properly armed.
Oh, well,
yeah,
you think that would be the case. I know that there's some persons that will know that made plans for the year 25, but I must tell you that not everybody is thinking that way. We still have few Nigerians that are still blaming the government, few Nigerians that are still sitting down at home and raining curses on the government, saying Tinubu this, Tinubu that, saying that state governor this, the state governor that. You know, they don't have plans to stand up, they don't have plans to do something for themselves. Trust me, the only thing you can do is wait for 2027 to come and go out there to cast your votes. That's the only thing you can do. But for now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu remains the president of the country. So no matter how you rain causes, no matter how you complain about the present government, nothing really tangible will be done. Nothing, except the government decides to now listen to the voice of the people. So the only thing you can do for yourself is to ask yourself, what can I do for myself and my family with during this present, economic downturn? What can I do? How can I make a living for myself? So that's the thing. Just look at the country, look for ways. In this country, with this economic downturn, we have people that made millions in the year 2024. We have people that sold, their businesses boomed in the year 2024. We had people, I was in a setting yesterday, and a man was talking about how his son, before the son traveled out of the country, how the son made a lot of money in Nigeria here. He was working remotely for a company outside of the country, and in Nigeria he was earning over ₦1 million, a fresh graduate. Now the son has traveled out of the country to do his masters. The man is now sending money to him, paying for his rent, paying for his school fees, and he's asking himself if he made the wrong choice. Like, the young man was here in Nigeria making money, earning over ₦1 million as a fresh graduate. He was working remotely, just stay in the house and use your laptop and you earn money in Nigeria here. And there's so many people like that who work remotely and they make money. They earn in dollars in Nigeria.
Did you ask him
now,
what job the son was doing?
Yes, the son was into ICT. No, I'm serious. It was into ICT. Now he's doing his master's in computer science in a foreign university. So what I'm saying is, while there are some youth who are allowing themselves to be used by politicians to rig elections, to cause violence, there are other youths who are into ICT, who are into this AI, who are doing things for themselves, who are looking for opportunities to earn in dollars as they are in Nigeria. That is what I want you to do for the year 2025. Don't just sit down and curse the government. Don't just sit down and complain about how fuel is cost. There are people who are making it big in Nigeria. There are people like me who don't have plans to travel out. I want to make it here in Nigeria.
Are already making it big now. You should show us the way.
I'm making it big. I really want to make
Show
it
us
here.
the way.
I'm happy. Well, that's it. Get ready for the year 2025. The year has started. Today is the 22nd day in the month of January 2025. Get your acts together and make sure that 2025 is going to be a rewarding year for you if you put in the work. That is, if you put in the work. And that is Street Talk for this morning. Next is Paper Review, and we have our analyst, Enina Meshak Oza, in the studio. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll bring you the papers. Please stay tuned.
Efe. Maintaining peace and security in Delta State remains a priority for the Governor Sheriff Oberewori-led administration.
It's clear for everyone to see that the Governor Sheriff-led administration is focused on promoting the well-being of all Deltans. Did you know that the Delta State Contributory Health Insurance Scheme currently caters to over 1,995,816 enrollees?
My God, no wonder Dr. Ifeanyi Oswaza is said that Governor Sheriff is staying committed to delivering the more agenda to Deltans.
Yes, you can say that again. Are you aware that Governor Sheriff Oberewori's administration has also taken significant steps to ease land acquisition as a strategy to mitigate Nigerians' housing deficits?
Governor Sheriff, very impressive. He's not just focusing on one area, maybe just health or peace and security. Is making sure that all areas experience the more agenda. Even when the Osun State Governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, inaugurated the completed Okpanami-Busa bypass, he said he was particularly impressed with the performances of Governor Oberewori in 1 year of his administration.
Of course, it is clear now that the Governor Sheriff Infrastructural Development is creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Ahead of a lady by the name Doris Uzo, who relocated her business to the bypass area, and she's doing very well.
Talking about the bypass, Governor Sheriff did a very good one there. The 5.3 kilometer road
and 10.6 kilometer length of drain.
Yes. Coming from Warri now, I didn't need to drive through those distance Coca area. I just took this shortcut, you know.
Hey, you know what, born your friend now. I know you. You get money, but you know what spend that.
Governor Sheriff don't do road. Make I still waste. Not be your fault. Now Sheriff will do road for you. You don't see how now.
Governor Sheriff putting smiles on the faces of Deltans.
So we are very happy because our government is working so hard.
You Sheriff in town. He's doing very, very well in Delta State.
Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
Welcome back to Wednesday's edition of Morning Ride. It is time for us to review our papers. Just before I was put on camera, we were just discussing with an analyst here. We've missed him, but he's here now, Engineer Meshach Oza. Good morning, Engineer Meshach.
Wonderful morning. I'm excited to be here. I love the word we've missed him.
Good morning. Happy New Year. It's not too late to wish
Happy New Year. That's true.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Bless
you. For the year.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back on the day I love so much. Wednesdays, paper analysis. The two anchors, Gaga and Blessing, lovely.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, let's take a look at the papers we have this morning. We have the Nigerian Tribune, we have the New Telegraph, the Nation, Vanguard, Daily Trust, Daily Times, the Guardian, the Punch, and the Daily Independent newspaper. I'll start with the Nigerian Tribune. The major headline on the Nigerian Tribune says, Tinubu to Ogoni leaders, forget historical grievances, reconcile. The riders, direct NSA to coordinate negotiations, asks ministers, NNPCL, Rivers government to cooperate with NSA. That's on page 4. At the top strip, CBN predicts 4.17% GDP growth in 2025. That's on page 6. 2025 budget, health workers leaving in droves, says CMDs. The rider, very disturbing. Federal hospitals may be empty in the next 2 years, says Luth CMD. That's on page 27. We have Funke Egbemode on Wednesday. Many cases of shame. See that on the back page of the Nigerian Tribune. At the bottom strip, Tinubu has moved the economy in right direction, determined to stay the course, says Babuju. I think he would explain that to us on page 10 of the Nigerian Tribune. NLC expresses outrage over federal government's proposed 8 billion naira electricity sensitization bill payment. That is on page 10. Federal government alerts Nigerians on anthrax outbreak in Zamfara. That's on page 4. Vandals behind Boguma wellhead fire, says NNPCL. That's on page 3. Ekiti Airport ready for commercial operations, says Keyamu. The rider airport, one of the gains of continuity, says Oyebanji. That's on page 3. The last headline, Senate insists on census this year. The cries lack of exercise in 19 years. That's on page 5.
Next is the New Telegraph, and the lead here says, census must hold this year. Senate tells federal government. The rider wants National Population Commission's 2025 budget to target health count. Laments Nigeria still planning with 19-year-old figures. Trump begins first full day in office with deportations. Climate rollbacks. You can get details of that story on pages 4 and 5 of the New Telegraph. We've got some riders. Sacks 4 top presidency officials. States sue to stop Trump's order blocking birthright citizenship. WHO asks US to reconsider withdrawal of membership. Recounts decades of life-saving partnership. Of course, they would ask the US to reconsider. Daily milk consumption can reduce colon cancer risk, and this is according to a study. Tinubu to Ogoni leaders will prioritize peace, justice, and moving on to more stories, more headlines. We've prosecuted 100 terrorism financiers in 2 years, and this is coming from the president. Promises to cut Nigeria from FATF's money laundering list. NLC to federal government. Address greed, incompetence in power sector. Or, if you want to know what comes after the or, I get the New Telegraph newspaper and go to pages 3 and 4. Saudi Arabia sponsors Nigerian pilgrims for Umrah. Federal government approves 2 dry ports for Ogun, Oyo states. 2025 WEF. Shetima markets Nigeria, Africa as investment destination. Tunji Ojo, centralized visa approval system will curb corruption. I totally agree. Tax reform bills have potential to modernize Nigeria's tax system. This is credited to the NEITI. JAPA, Uni Uyo Teaching Hospital returns 1,056 billion naira to federal government. NNPC Limited uncovers 55 illegal refineries in 1 week. Wow. And lastly, from the New Telegraph, report. Nigeria leads with $13.5 billion FIDs from global oil, gas majors.
All right, let's look at the Nigerian, the Nation newspaper. Yes, the Nation newspaper is next. And the major headline on the Nation newspaper says, our plan to restart oil production in Ogoni by Tinubu Fubara. The rider, President promises to immortalize martyrs. NSA Ribado to coordinate peace rally. We have this headline. It says Tinubu approves inland dry port for Ogun, Oyo. That's on page 5. Saudi Arabia sponsors 20 Nigerian pilgrims. That's on page 3. How tax reform bills will transform economy. That's on the front page as well. At the top strip, Trump's executive orders face legal hurdles. The rider, no to birthright citizenship. That's on page 4. CMDs, brain drain worsening health sector challenges. That's on news page 4. And the writer says DAPA, UUTH returns 1 billion naira salaries. Over 100 terror financiers prosecuted by federal government. That's on page 4. When? The names of the terror financiers we don't know. Well, we have Okpebolo assigns portfolios to 6 Edo commissioners. That's on page 26. Economy on right track, says Bagudo. The last headline from the Nation newspaper. Protest over death of Nigerian in South African police custody. That's on page 3. The very last one, it says Erufai's ex-aide Lawal gets bail. That's on page 25.
Moving on to the Vanguard newspaper, major headline. Politicians disagree on why opposition is crumbling. We've got lots of riders attached to this headline. The first, judiciary should rise up to its responsibility. And this is credited to Ekpeyon. It shows a profound crisis in our political landscape. Oyele say, and I'll just take a few of them. Our democracy is facing challenges, and this is credited to a corpse scribe. Then, principles in short supply in our climate. Ex-PDP spokesman. To get details of that headline, get yourself to Vanguard newspaper and see page 14. NLC blames Power Ministry, NERC, for unending grid collapses. Birthright citizenship. Civil rights groups sue Trump over executive order. Federal government working with governors to end menace of out-of-school children. This is coming from the education minister. I think that's a good one. In sports, Mikel lands in Istanbul to convince Osimhen to join Chelsea. Oh well. And still more headlines. 2025 WEF. Africa has woken up, and this is coming from Vice President Senator Shettima. Tinubu has steered economy in right direction, coming from Bagudu. And there is a photo speak here of Shettima shaking hands with Okondo Iweala at the WEF in Davos. And we've still got other personnel there. And to the top strip of the Vanguard newspaper, CBN vows to tackle buying, selling of Naira notes. Federal government alerts Nigerians over outbreak of anthrax in Zamfara. Poor pay, health workers leaving, hospitals becoming empty. CMDs tell reps something should be done to end this. And lastly, from the Vanguard newspaper, Nigeria prosecuted 100 terror financiers in 2 years. It's coming from our president, Tinubu.
Okay, and just looking and reading Mr. and Mrs. to be on the Vanguard newspaper, you should take a look for yourself. I don't think we'll be able to read that out, whether you can take a look at it.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, so maybe you explain it to me later. Oh well, let's move on to the Daily Trust newspaper now. The Daily Trust newspaper has as major headline, Japa, our hospitals will be empty in 2 years, says CMDs. The rider, judges, military, more favored, says NMA. Do you agree with this? Well, let's move on. We'll find out from Engineer Meshach later. 16,000 doctors left Nigeria in 5 years. That is on page 3. At the top strip, EU-UN kicked as Trump pulls US out of WHO. Paris Agreement. Federal government approves new polytechnic, names it after Tinubu. Gunmen kills 7 traders in Yobe Market. 3 attackers gunned down. The last headline from the Daily Trust. Abuja Kaduna Road awarded to InfoWest, not InfoQuest, says Minister. That is on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. What is InfoWest? InfoWest, not InfoQuest.
When you get the paper,
we'll read the headlines and then we'll read the story and understand what this means.
Okay, moving on to the Daily Times newspaper. The link. Again, Tinubu mediates in Wike Fubara face-off. And we've got a similar photo speak as was on the Vanguard newspaper. So move away from that. And at the top strip of the Daily Times, Wike commissioned 11-kilometer Yangoji Sukuku Nebo Road, Lord's Kwali residents for support. And apart from there's a birthday we share, but we leave that out. And federal government moves to digitalize visa application. And that's it from the Daily Times newspaper.
All right, the Guardian newspaper is next, and the major headline says metering gap over 7 million on estimated billing, despite 1.5 trillion naira intervention, free supply. That's on page 6. The top strip, Transgrid, Eneco to acquire EcoDisco, integrate renewable energy. That is continued on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. The bottom strip, we have federal government confirms anthrax outbreak in Zamfara, urges heightened vigilance. That's on news page 30. Nigeria risks empty hospitals over workers' exit. CMDs tell reps. That's on news page 30. Tinubu meets Ogoni leaders as CSOs fault fresh oil exploration bid. That's on news page 3. Over 100 terrorist financiers convicted in 2 years. Tinubu reveals. That's on news page 30. WHO regrets US withdrawal. Anticipate review amid global health uncertainty. That's on news page 6. That's the last headline from the Guardian.
Next is the Punch newspaper. The major headline: Bandits influx. Not a good one. Amoteku mobilizes 2,000 men to comb southwest forests. The rider calls seek advanced technology, arms, better equipment to tackle insecurity in region. We've got photo speak. Tinubu promises fairness as Ogoni oil exploration plan resumes, and a picture of the people that are present at the meeting. How El-Rufai's ex-chief of staff laundered 3.9 billion naira forex proceeds, and this is coming from the ICPC. Immigration arrests 90 foreigners for cybercrime in Rivers. Supreme Court hears Wike Fubara loyalist appeals February 10. And to the top strip of the Punch newspaper, Nigeria's public debt hits 142 trillion naira as borrowing rises. Rural areas suffer blackout despite 14 billion naira power spending. Very sad. And lastly, from the Punch, federal government seeks stronger US ties and Trump's deportation threats. Amid Trump's deportation threats.
Okay, now let's look at our last paper for review this morning. That is the Daily Independent newspaper. The major headline says alleged sale of alleged sale of federal government assets in Kano tears workers' company apart. The writer says workers petition Attorney General of the Federation, Kano government. We followed due process in our transaction, said CMD NRC Property. Railway Workers Union President says petitioners are faceless. Okay, I'll skip the top riders down. If I go down to the bottom riders, here we have Senate 1 conduct of national census this year. That's on page 29. Tinubu meets Ogoni leaders, pledges to combat environmental degradation. Writer says Fubara, Wike, Magnus, Abe attend meeting. That's on page 6. Federal government alerts public on confirmed anthrax outbreak in Zamfara. That's on page 6. Telecom tariff hike due to inflation, rising cost, says minister. Who's to blame for that? That's on page 7. Tax reform bills. TUC suggests areas for review. That's on page 7 as well. Trump policies may weaken Naira, worsen Nigeria's debt servicing costs. That's not a good one at all. The last headline, China pledges to continue supporting WHO after US exit move. That's on page 6. Nice one, China. Okay, we'll come back to the studio now as we welcome our analysts once again. Good morning and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us in the membership.
Always a pleasure.
Okay, let's start with the very first major headline I took, and that is from the Nigerian Tribune. Tinubu to Ogoni leaders forget historical grievances, reconcile. Rider says direct NSA to coordinate negotiations, ask ministers, NPC, and Rivers government to cooperate with NSA. And from other headlines we saw, this was also a meeting between Wike, Fubara, Magnus Abe, others trying to intervene on what's happening in River State. I don't know if you know the historical history of the Ogoni crisis.
Well, the Ogoni crisis is very historical, premised on a lot of prejudices that led to the bastardization of the ecosystem around the Ogoni lands and the Ogoni nation, which translated into a rebellion by the Ogoni Nine, that were finally executed by late Sani Abacha. I mean, the relationship between Ogoni and Shell has been on for over 5 decades. And the most important, the communities itself, most times we fail as a people to understand that Nigeria is the only country where vandalization is ascribed to the oil companies, where the majority of oil spillages are self-induced as a result of vandalism by both indigenous people and, of course, criminal elements within the larger society. And when you look at all that, that has been the hallmark of what's been happening to the Ogoni nation. And the Ogoni nation should not have been in the state it is, considering the fact that it's one of the goose that lays the golden egg for the country. But unfortunately, politicization of priorities in line with along macro-ethnic nationalities within the Ogoni nation has cost them true leadership. And I think what Mr. President has done now is a good step in the right direction.
Okay, but do you think it will yield positive results? Do you think
will,
oil exploration will start again in that community? And what do you make of his peace meeting with Wike and
now, when you talk of, let's start with oil exploration. When you talk of oil exploration now, there are a lot of factors standing. First and foremost, Ogoni land now has to be cleaned up. For exploration to return, the cleaning processes must start and end.
Clean up in what way?
There are a lot of oil spillages within the Ogoni land, and there's no way we can explore without cleaning the environment first, so that we'll be able to assess these wellheads and, of course, sites for exploration, both onshore and offshore. And the cleaning has been so politicized. And I've been privileged to meet with certain people, and I can boldly say some of these community leaders are to blame for the situation of their community. Most times when oil companies pay compensation, they ask for representatives of these communities. And when the representatives of these communities come and have meetings with the oil companies, they go back and tell their subjects, or they tell their leaders lies, ascribing such funds that's supposed to be compensation funds to themselves, turning themselves into demigods. They don't, it's not a true reflection of their meeting with these leaders. Now, for the Ogoni issue, exploration can only return if the trust between the exploration companies and the indigenous and communities can be sustained. A lot of oil companies have left Nigeria. Shell has left Warri, still has only Port Harcourt and Lagos. Talk of Halliburton, talk of Nigerian dredging, talk of dredging marine. Most of these oil and oil services companies that work in pari passu have left the shores of this country because of a lot of extraneous factors. So I think government needs to build back this relationship, bring back confidence of the oil companies to come back, and of course restore power and restore leadership. And restore, most importantly, trust. People don't trust. Now, look at the crisis in Rivers State. Let's move over to Wike and Fubara issue. We're looking at two. The major issue of leadership in Nigeria is godfatherism, and it has plagued our political climate in such a way that leadership has been reduced to slavery on the part of those that are under the umbrella of godfathers, both political godfathers, economic godfathers, subjective godfathers.
I think we understand all of that. So, but this peace meeting, now the question is, do you
they've had peace meetings in the past. The peace meeting is one thing. Let me tell you something. Ogaga and Blessing are quarreling, but then they must present money rides together. That's a professional calling. You after the morning ride, you might smile together and during morning ride, but that does not mean you people are friends. The viewing audience will not know that you people are beefing each other.
Exactly.
After the morning rides, you go your way. It happens in everywhere in different climes. It's happening. So the truth is, yes, for me that is a smoke screen. We need to see. This is not the first meeting they've had with Mr. This is about the third meeting they have with Mr. President. And they will always give you promises, but then afterwards,
When they get back to River State,
what happens?
They continue.
Before you know, somebody will not take Hennessy and throw his own. The other one will throw it. I mean, it's the same thing that it's tough.
So let's consider one of the big stories for the week, and I'm taking this one because of the context and the perspective the Daily Independent took it from.
Yeah.
Trump policies may weaken Naira, worsen Nigeria's debt servicing costs, and also this is also affiliated because, of course, Donald Trump has signed a couple of executive orders, and now China pledges to continue supporting WHO after US exit move. So in general, and the Guardian also puts it this way: WHO regrets US withdrawal, anticipates review amid global health uncertainty. So what do you think about Trump's executive orders? Now you can talk about the birthright citizenship, talk about if you feel and how you feel his policies may weaken the Naira, and then pulling out from the WHO.
Well, a lot of factors can be attributed when you look at. That's why a lot of people are scared of Trump administration. It's one man that has a very instinctive perspective towards leadership. He sees first and foremost an American and sees America belongs to true Americans, and yet it's always affirmed that America has been taken over by a lot of immigrants. And he's not too comfortable with that. I mean, one of his first sentences that he's going to tackle gay. He made mention that we have only two genders, male and female. Now he's talked about policies, immigration policies, and that is going to affect a lot of immigrants, even though some of his policies are extraneous. Man, you can't tell me somebody born in America cannot be an American by birth. I mean, it's something that's been practiced even before you were born. You now come out. You see, Trump is vindictive. Is this kind of leader that pays you back in your own coin. That's why one of our former generals advised Mr. President should be very careful how he relates with Trump. He should not have a fallout with Trump, because you and I are going to be the forebearers, the scapegoats. And when you talk about these policies affecting the economic and micro and macroeconomic policies should be in line with international best practices. You see, a Trump administration will not be happy to see the flagrant display of wealth of Nigerians worldwide, political leaders or individuals within the political chain. I mean, he won't be happy to see the way we refurbish an executive apartment, maybe the house of a president, the house of vice president, with billions of naira. He won't be happy with the way you see our National Assembly carry out approved budgetary allocations to themselves and buy jeeps, and these are the kind of things that I like him for. He might be seen as an extremist. Yes, he is, no doubt, but an extremist in the positive perspective, because there are certain black leaders have a fundamental ego problem. They always see their ascension to leadership as an opportunistic situation for them to become demigods to their people, to the people they govern. So for me, the policies of Trump, yes, one thing is clear. He didn't just wake up like our president woke up on inauguration day to remove subsidy. He has been saying it before he came during his campaign, that this is what I will do. So the American electorate already understood what he wants to do. We didn't know they were going to remove subsidy. If not, I would have filled my water tank with fuel before they removed subsidy. But the Americans already know that this is going to fight. This is what he wants, and they voted for him. And he's going to fight immigration. He's going to I mean, they knew all these
They
things.
vote
So,
based on ideology.
it's based on ideology.
And the parties that they stick to what they
They
believe
believe in.
They don't change once they come
At
into
all.
office.
They don't
stick
change,
to it.
and that is where it is. So,
Okay.
whatever happens to our naira, we've already killed the naira before. So they are trying to they create a caveat, an alibi, so that when something gets what they say the policies of Trump, but it is a lie. We've already killed our macro and economic policies of this government. I've already put the naira in dire straits. So
And then whatever he's doing with his economic policies, talking about putting a levy on imports into the US, it's him doing what's best for his country.
That's
so
it.
we
So
expect
do
our
what's
federal government as
to do
well
what's
to do
best for
what is
Nigeria.
best for
Stop being
Nigerians.
Look
for a way to strengthen the naira.
Naira,
just the
that's
way
it.
Trump
It's
is
America.
looking
It's
for a way to
America
strengthen
borders
the
that.
dollar. It's
That's
as simple as that. Anyway, let's move on and let's look at the major headline on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. It's on all the papers, but the Daily Trust has it as the major headline. It says, Japa, our hospitals will be empty in 2 years, says CMD. The riders, judges, military, more favored, says NMA.
Yes.
16,000 doctors left Nigeria in 5 years. I
We
think the
are
number is
living.
high.
Yes, I think this is the best and the major headline in the world now.
Best.
Yes, it's hurting everybody. I think it's something that we need to bring to public domain.
Okay.
You see, the government, look at the caveat, the judiciary, the military,
they are more
they are more favored. They are more, you look at the budgetary allocation to the health sector and the budgetary allocation to the defense, maybe the judiciary. You can see there's a discontent, there's a great margin. Now, go to our hospitals today, they are going to weep. I've had a lot of medical tourism, and I have seen situations where the doctors complain deeply of underfunding, underpayment, and that is why you see a lack of commitment on part of most of their priority now is to travel out of the country to Canada and Americas, where they are, and we are looking at only doctors, the entire health sector,
yes,
medical life scientists,
exactly.
nurses, pathologists,
That's what I said. I think the number
is far
higher.
more than being speculated.
In 5 years, it should be higher.
I mean, we are facing a crisis that is going to snowball into a tsunami, a medical tsunami, if not well handled. The government needs to do something, or we are going to be facing a medical system that will have big doctors or just schoolboy doctors. With due respect to the profession, a lot of consultants have left. I have a lot of medical friends, so I hear the kind of complaint. A lot of them go to the embassies. When you see 10 people in the embassy, 7 of those 10 people are from the medical profession. With due respect, other professions are living it. So the government should ask itself, why are my citizens becoming immigrants to other countries? What fundamental problem of leadership do we have? The major problem is lack of trust between the governed and the government, because we have transformed politics more from a service-oriented calling to a career, and everybody sees politics as a trajectory towards getting to where you can be in a comfortable position to transform the nation's commonwealth to your own personal commonwealth.
If it was just on the payment of their salaries and their allowances, it would have been a little bit better. But then on the funding is a major issue. You go to the hospitals, they don't have the equipment that they should have.
They don't have the equipment.
So how then do you want them to do a country that has money to buy cars for judges, ex-military chiefs.
I will go so
give them large
give them fat allowance, medical allowances to travel abroad annually.
Yes, but you cannot provide equipment in your hospitals.
It's laughable.
Hospitals.
It's laughable.
It simply means the government does not care about the health of the people.
They don't, because at the slightest feeling of a headache, they go on medical tourism. They say, the governor is not fine, or the president is not fine. He travels out of the country because of headache, because of knee pain, because of ulcer. Meanwhile, you kept on telling us that every year budgeted allocation for the health sector is being pronounced, but we don't see that. In Nigeria, a privileged we wanted to do a radiotherapy, and we found out that only 3 hospitals in Nigeria have machines for radiotherapy. One of them had this machine bad. How can the country of 200
million... So we had two machines
function for radiotherapy in Nigeria right now? And you look at all that, so many areas of medical science have have underfunded in terms of infrastructure. And now a lot of, we are failing to realize most of our tertiary health institutions where we train our medical listeners are still operating with analog system. Meanwhile, we're in the 21st, going to the 22nd century,
So who do we blame?
when people...
Who do we really blame for all this? And then who's in charge of, bringing up reforms or bringing up
Leadership, our
changes?
leaders, our
Is it
government.
the Ministry of Health?
The government.
Is it our legislators?
So when we talk about
All of them, the government, the legislature, the entire, and the citizens, because we have not cried enough.
We've not cried enough.
We have not cried enough.
So
we have not acted on our cries.
I would recall that once upon a time a lawmaker came up with a bill that Nigerians kicked against because he mentioned reforms. Do we need such reforms? And I was saying that nurses, I think nurses particularly, needed nurses that schooled in Nigeria. They should put in some years.
Doctors.
Before they travel out, but majority.
But
people don't.
definitely.
Because his argument was like, you use our resources.
What resources?
Like you school here for a fair
Shouldn't
price.
you school here?
Then you carry the knowledge out. So I'm saying that is that a good reform?
The question is, why are they carrying the knowledge out? Have you created an enabling environment for me to bring the practicability of what I studied to bear on the people? No. Ogaga, if you are offered, you school in Nigeria, right? If you are offered an opportunity or you see a brighter future, Ogaga, just come, let's go to UK, let me give you a better job. And you earn what you earn a year, you earn it in 2 weeks there. Would you say because you want to serve your fatherland?
Because you use their resources.
You use their resources to school.
No, I'm just asking if that
So
could be
it's
a reform.
really-
So what
that
kind
is
of
not a
reforms?
reform.
Financial reforms?
What kind of reforms
their
do we need
infrastructure?
to
What kind of
revive the health sector?
we need most important, we need ideological reforms. We need to understand the needs of the health sector. We need transformational reform. Transformation of our mindset. See, our political mindset needs to be transformed. We should look beyond self-aggrandizement. That is what's killing our leaders today. And because they are at the, and people are not being held accountable, because a leader can, how many times have you heard the president of South Africa, the president of Ghana, for example, coming for medical patronage to Nigeria? How many times have you heard the United States president
You
is
even
sick?
talk about United States. Talk about countries like Congo. Talk about
they say they want to come
Niger
to
Republic.
Nigeria.
Talk about all
There
these
was such a time we were the
bigger
pride. We're the pride of medical tourism. We had white, Indian, Lebanese doctors working in our hospitals in the 60s, in the 50s, in the 70s. But when proliferation of leadership, when I'm talking of proliferation of leadership now, when leadership was being bought and sold, when leadership was based on Godfatherism, when our political ideology was transformed from true ideology to career ideology, it became difficult for leadership to produce effective followership, because the followers now looked at politics as an option to liberate themselves out of probably poverty, in quote, not as a call to service. In saner climes, people serve to improve the system because they will go back to the system. The transport system will be working, the health system will be working. So in Nigeria's own case, it's the opposite. So what do we need to do now? Look at most of our tertiary institutions. The annoying part of this is what I'm going to tell you now. If there is funding for this, but some people sit on these funds and amass it to themselves to accept particular. Now, what we must do is retrospective. We need to hold people accountable. People need to go to jail. People need to, for monies, unspent budgets. People make sure they hold on to some monies at the end of the budgetary year. It's not spent. This is what we have, about 12 billion left. Yeah, let's share it amongst ourselves. The sharing syndrome of people's money, of taxpayers' money, is another problem. Until people start going to jail, our systems will start working. Our institutions will start working. Until we hold people accountable. When you find somebody is caught now, the next thing you hear, party is supreme. It's only in Nigeria I
takes peace to experience more. Together in peace and unity, we will experience the more agenda. Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
Alright, welcome back. We're sorry for that short break, but we're still a paper review this morning. We have analysts in the studio with us, Engineer Mesha Oza. Just before we went on that break, we're talking about the health sector, and I can see that you're truly pained by the state of our hospitals in Nigeria, and our doctors complaining every time.
Is it out of place for hospitals to have 24-hour power supply? That's my wife, for example, wants to put to bed. I will bring generator from the house to make sure there's light in a government hospital.
It's terrible, and then you can't as Nigerians, the common man cannot even think of going to the private hospitals because some of these private hospitals are owned by the doctors,
and some of these doctors, they refer you to the
private hospitals.
What do you do? Because they want to make money.
And because they have better equipment too. They have subjected themselves, they have spent money.
Exactly.
So if I must give you the true healthcare, they wouldn't call it a hospital. Let me refer you to one hospital until you see them there doing surgery.
It's laughable.
So let's move away from this because of time, and let's consider this one that Nigerians have been seeing. Even people updating to my status, people speaking about it. Daily Independent puts it this way: telecom tariff hike due to inflation, rising costs, says minister. Now people have been complaining. Someone posted recently a contact of mine on WhatsApp. He was like, is it just him that a 1,000 naira airtime that used to take him about an hour is now less? People complain of their data now, that it does not last anymore.
I don't think anybody subscribes for a month anymore. If anybody does, that person is into something that we need to question the source of his wealth. You can't subscribe for a whole month anymore because the data doesn't even last.
It's daily subscription, 2 days.
Weekly subscription.
So is this justified?
It's justified, my brother.
It's justified.
The hype due to inflation.
You see, the major problem, it's not about this. The communications companies have telecom companies have been going through a lot because if you look at, if the power sector was like the telecoms company, we wouldn't have a problem. We'll have 24-hour power supply. They use diesel to run their masts. If you see, run diesel 24 hours, the price of diesel has gone up. I mean, the cost of living, they don't. It's not an AI team. They have staffs that are human that have to get paid. They go to the same market with you and I. So
okay, I think you've mentioned.
I'm speaking on the economic view. Now, when you look at all that, I mean, they've been docile in terms of increment for a while, and if you look at the increment,
I
it's
actually
marginal.
think that they increased before talking about the hike.
Whatever it is, even when they were increased, you wouldn't know whether they've increased or not.
Exactly,
They are not
they
making it
increased
official.
it
But the most
before the
important
hike.
thing, we should look at addressing the economy. Most importantly, it is not about whether the telecoms company cost of operation and the cost of operation has gone up.
Yes.
So we blame the economic managers. Our president promised us technocrats, and we have not seen those technocrats transform. This is 18 months and still counting. We need a transformational leadership and government, and to be able to because these people, you can't blame them. You can't blame them. It is a statement of fact. Wages must go up, and they need to pay more wages. The bills must go up.
So Nigerians should bear the brunt. The federal government should just fold their hands and not
The
do anything.
federal government needs to do something in terms of improving the economy. If the dollar naira relation, the economy is improved, there's no way the forces of demand and supply can we help to crash prices.
So there's nothing they can do. You don't
There
think
is
the federal government can intervene.
There is nothing the federal government can do.
Except we want them to put in subsidy
There
for them.
is not, yes, except that's the only thing. The government can't do anything right now. I can't be running cost at a deficit. I'm a businessman.
True.
I can't be running cost at a deficit because of your bad policies.
And that's what happens when organizations now decide to close down and move out of the
That's why
country.
we have lost too many years. That's what happens.
TUC and NLC seems to have found their lost voice. On the news, NLC spoke about the Minister of Power and spoke about how it is shameful that the national grid has collapsed under this present minister, more than it has collapsed in all the ministers of the power we've had in Nigeria. That was what the NLC said. But I'm going to marry it with this headline from the Daily Independent. Tax reform bills. TUC suggests areas for review. That's on page 7.
I've never taken both of them serious. Maybe, this January is the period of school fees, so many things. I've never taken them serious because a lot of our political labor leaders have decided to become political labor leaders. They feed just their whims and caprices. They're not truly representatives of the workers, as the case may be, because a lot of them are projecting their political trajectory through what we call unionism. And when they've made this statement now, I mean, they are seeking attention. The attention will be sought, and there's nowhere why and how honorariums will not change, and probably. So if you're fighting a true fight, you don't need to come on the. They've never been fighting a true fight in democracy. I must be frank with you. Most of our union leaders are fighting self-interest.
Now, when you consider the power sector as well, because even the minister recently does a humorous headline that is a blackout in Aso Rock.
Tinubu into darkness.
So these kind of things, because the power minister Adebayo Adelabu has consistently spoken about vandals and that their lack of security. They can't secure
infrastructure. Yes, it's tough. We have a lot of citizens.
And one of them even said that he believes it is politically motivated.
I disagree on that. There's no political motivation. It's hunger. It's poverty motivated. Now, so you mean those Amajus that go and be stealing those?
So it feels like it's to deter.
There is no political motivation. People are hungry and they will
and to stain his administration, because it's everything. This minister, like what Labour said, that more collapses has happened during his time
than any other
Let
minister.
me make you understand something.
All the ministers of power.
Those things, they were built in the 60s. Those transmission stuff. We lack maintenance culture in this country. It is ethical. Over a period of time, most of these things expire even though they might still be working. They're supposed to change this infrastructure. But we don't have, so long as it's working, even when monies are budgeted for that, we don't change it. And you expect it will collapse. It has gotten, when an elasticity gets to its elastic limit, that is its break point. It's not break. Not because it's no longer elastic, but it has gotten to the limit where elasticity has elapsed. So there is nothing you can do. This infrastructure have gotten to a level where we have substance decay, where equipment has gotten beyond its expiring date. So we need to keep if it's annually, if it's every 3 years, these things need to be checked and changed, but we don't do that.
There are so many interesting headlines today that I really want you to talk about.
Is this still on power?
No, not on power. This one is okay. You want to bring out something
on power? Yes. Okay. Nigerian Tribune puts it this way: NLC expresses outrage over federal government's proposed 8 billion naira electricity sensitization bill payment.
I don't understand what they are sensitizing about.
They said they want to sensitize Nigerians, so you need to pay.
8 billion?
Yes,
8 billion to pay.
Yeah.
Are you giving us?
We are paying already.
They said they should tell us the benefit of paying on time. That they need
paying on time. Do we have light to pay for? They should not get. Do we have prepaid meters that we have paid for? Create competition in the market. Make it look like the telecom sector.
Why not put that 8 billion into the health sector? Buy equipment for federal hospitals in Nigeria.
This is going to private pocket.
Anyway, let's move away from that. This headline says over 100 terrorist financiers convicted in 2 years.
This is the biggest.
Tinubu reveals. I'll mention one name.
And the names that I mentioned before that have been funding are still in power. We see some of them in the Senate, we see some of them everywhere. So who are these financiers that have been prosecuted? Nigerians. That is why it is difficult for citizens to believe government. The government, even the devil is shocked. The devil will see that he is not truly the devil. You say Nigerian leaders have become, they have turned Nigerians into pawns in their chairs, political chairs, but it's no setting to find us in this kind of situation. There are 200 and we don't know one. And at least each state will have.
What court prosecuted them?
Which court? When?
Anyway.
Man, it is well.
Let's just end paper review there. If we can go on with you. That's what we love.
When you consider Nigerian headlines.
That's what happens.
Yes.
Full of lies.
Thank you so much, Engineer Meshach, for joining us on paper review this morning. It's always nice to have you on set with us. Review these paper headlines. Thank you so much. All right, we'll move on to our last segment for this morning, and that will be our interview segment. And today we have the Executive Assistant to the Government Public Enlightenment and on Project and Policies, Mr. Olise Ifejika. The topic is the rumored defection of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori putting the records straight. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this interview as he puts the record straight for us. Please take a listen and stay tuned.
Efe, you see, maintaining peace and security in Delta State remains a priority for the Governor Sheriff Oberewori-led administration.
It's clear for everyone to see that the Governor Sheriff-led administration is focused on promoting the well-being of all Deltans. Did you know that the Delta State Contributory Health Insurance Scheme currently caters to over 1,995,816 enrollees?
My God, no wonder Dr. Ifeanyi Oswaza is said that Governor Sheriff is staying committed to delivering the more agenda to Deltans.
Yes, you can say that again. Are you aware that Governor Sheriff Oberewori's administration has also taken significant steps to ease land acquisition as a strategy to mitigate Nigerians' housing deficits?
Governor Sheriff, very impressive. He's not just focusing on one area, maybe just health or peace and security. Is making sure that all areas experience the more agenda. Even when the Osun State Governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, inaugurated the completed Okpanami-Busa bypass, he said he was particularly impressed with the performances of Governor Oberewori in 1 year of his administration.
Of course, it is clear now that the Governor Sheriff Infrastructural Development is creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. I heard of a lady by the name Doris Uzo who relocated her business to the bypass area, and she is doing very well.
Talking about the bypass, Governor Sheriff did a very good one there. The 5.3 kilometer road.
And 10.6 kilometer length of drain.
Yes. Coming from Warri now, I didn't need to drive through those distance Coca area. I just took this shortcut, you know.
Hey, you know what burn your fuel now? I know you. You get money, but you know what spend them.
Governor Sheriff don't do road. Make I still waste. Don't be your fault. Now Sheriff will do road for you. You don't see how now.
Governor Sheriff putting smiles on the faces of Deltans.
So we are very happy because our government is working so hard.
You Sheriff is down. You do very, very well in Delta State.
Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
Let's go! No. Let's go. If we continue like this now, where we go end? Bros, calm down. I know say it be like see all of us the best now, but more will not say any damage where we they cause now, not to our own state. And when we talk about our own state, we they talk about ourselves, about our family, our fathers and mothers, our wives, brothers and sisters, even our children. If we use our own hands, scatter what we get as our own, now where we go call our own again?
Now truth it all go. After all, Governor Sheriff, he don't promise say go do more for Deltans. Now wait till make us come dey fight now.
When see our guy they talk so, it makes sense.
You see now. No be lie. We need peace today so that we go fit experience the more agenda. Meaningful development for all. But where there is no peace, there cannot be prosperity now. When they fight, they prosper. No need for the fight. Now peace and unity. Now we want. It takes peace to experience more. Together in peace and unity, we will experience the more agenda. Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
ensure that every risk or hazard as related to water activities are eliminated, as well as if you cannot eliminate, you should be able to manage and prepare for eventualities when this happen. Water is make up a large mass of the earth. If you are very familiar with the knowledge of the earth, you discover that we have limited lands compared to water. So everyone around the world will one time or the other in their life, being able to assure that they might be able to have been able to travel or water or have any other business to do with water. Now, when we look at water safety in general, we're talking about those things. We're talking about those things that one needs to know or put in place to ensure whether you travel on water or you go on water for leisure, or you need to have a swimming pool within your home to ensure that anybody who comes in contact with that don't lose his or her life at any space. This is what we mean by water safety. So what are the basic things that we need to understand when we talk about water safety? The first is that, as it is customarily under the Health and Safety Law, of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is also important that we know that anybody who have anything to do with water, pool of water, professionally or for leisure, casual, and all that, must have to understand what we call water and the safety measures that you need to put in place for you to be able to survive in this environment. What do we mean by that? We simply mean that if you must have an activity on water, then you must have a basic knowledge of the risk associated with water in particular. How do you get this knowledge? You must or you need to undergo a basic water safety course within a particular time. To give you an example, if you need to swim, somebody will need to coach you on how to swim, and that is learning. If you need to travel, probably your work professionally, you have to go through water on a regular basis, then it is compulsory, it is mandatory under the Nigeria Health and Safety Act that you must undergo and certify under a water safety course. And if you've been able to undergo a water safety course, then we should be guaranteed that at least 80% of the risk that will come as a result of an accident on water, on you traveling on the river, or training others, or having activities within the water pool, or even being caught off guard by flooding, that you're going to be saved. And this will lead to reduction of mortality rate in that line. So the second thing you need to know if you have to go on water, if you need to go on water, then you need to know that everyone who goes on water, who has business to do on water, must have its minimum standards. That is, you must put on a life vest, or simply called a life jacket. If you need to go on water, you need to put on a life jacket. Whether you know how to swim, whether you are a professional swimmer, or you are just under a learning course, or even children that will need to go on the pool of water, even at home when the water is so small, you need to ensure that the person will need to be on a life vest. What is a life vest? A life vest is a floating device that will be able to sustain the human's head above the water level in terms of any activity that you run on the water. What is important to us when we talk about water safety and life vest it has come to our notice that everybody tends to understand that anything you pick is a life vest. Life vest in itself comes in different variety, which is classified as type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, and type 5. Why are they classified in this regard? If you are probably swimming on your swimming pool within your house, you don't need a life vest that is going type 1 life vest that is going to sustain you when your boat wreck in the sea. So if professionally you work in an offshore environment or you live in an island, definitely you will need what we call a type 1 life vest. A type 1 life vest is designed to ensure that even when somebody flow into the water, a vest like this, and you flow into the water as a result of shipwreck, and you become unconscious, in as much as you are in that vest, your head must be sustained to ensure that you have a constant oxygen. That is to say that when you are motionless, the vest automatically turn you facing up and suspend your head above the water. No matter what your weight will be, that vest will sustain you, and no matter how long you stay underwater, there is guarantee that your airway will be open and you get constant oxygen along the line. Why is it important for those who have their major activities on water to always go on type 1 life vest? It's because you don't know when it will happen, and when it happens, you don't know how far you are from the seashore. Thus, we always recommend that you understand why you need to use a type 1 life vest. Type 2 life vest is an ordinary floating vest which you commonly see everywhere, and it's cheap, so you see it everywhere around, where people who are supposed to be doing the swimming in the swimming pool under the watch of a lifeguard put on. When you put on a type 2 vest or type 3 vest, it means that when you are on the water, it helps to sustain and gives you ability to swim and control yourself in that regard. But for the type 1 life vest, you need to be a professional swimmer to be able to control your movements in that regard, because it's going to suspend you and suspend obviously your hand, and you need your leg to be able to sustain to swim into direction. But for the type 2 and the type 3, you might be able to control it, but the danger is if you shipwreck and accidentally you become unconscious, there is tendency that you are going to drown in that water if you're not able to provide a support. Type 4 and type 5 is the popular ring that you see when you go to swimming pool. It means this is actually a type 5 life vest. We call it a life vest. Other people call it a floating device. It means it's a throw-on device. When a shipwreck and you need to rescue somebody, you throw this device onto the person and the person grips. The good thing about this is that once you come in contact with it, you will be able to lie down on it confidently, and it keeps you going. In as much as you reduce your activity, it keeps you floating on top of that water until help arrives. When you have this type of vest, you are sure that anybody who goes in and is swimming, even when you don't know how to swim, this type 5 will be able to sustain you. Another thing is that when you have the type 5 and somebody is rescuing you, the person can just tie a rope attached to it and drag no matter the distance you are, and you are being able to be brought out of the water. Again, it is important for you to know that whether you are a professional swimmer or you're just a novice in swimming, that for you to embark on any water journey, you need to have a life vest on hand. Thirdly, when you go on water drive, avoid the use of phones. What do we mean avoid the use of phone? The phone is an electromagnetic device that tends to travel within an electromagnetic wave. It means that while you're using your phone to stream, while you're using your phone to share public posts, it interferes with the electric mechanism of that boat, depending on the boat. That is point one. Point two, if you're using a local boat where the sailor stays behind and you're using your phone to video, you're using your phone to stream, what it means is that you would give a divided attention to the sailor who is controlling that boat, because it needs to be 100% focused. Why does it need to be 100% focused? On the river, we have what we call water hyacinths. These leaves that you see within on top of the floating or on top of the water floating. If the boat happen to drive into a water hyacinth, there's possibility that the propeller pick up the hyacinth and the hyacinth flings off that boat and the boat wrecks. It means that you need to ensure that your sailor is never distracted. And when you use your phone to stream, or you use your phone to record, you know, most times the people suspend the phone on top and block this man's view. You put the entire passengers on that boat at risk. So we encourage and discourage you for any form of the use of phone to stream or to video while you are on a boat ride. Please avoid it because it's extremely dangerous. Next, never get involved in alcohol when you want to go on a boat trip. Alcohol and drugs and other drugs are powerful toxics that might drive you out of point. I will give you an example what the water ride looks like. If you're on the boat, you don't have an opportunity to come down from the boat and step on the dry land. If there's turbulence in the boat, everybody's fate lies in the blow. It means if that boat tumbles, the ability for you to survive reduces. So if anybody within the boat is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and the person starts an unusual movement in the boat, there's tendency that that boat will capsize. And when the boat capsizes, everybody within the boat will definitely drown. Even if you know how to swim and you are 5 kilometers away from land, from the seashore, it means that you will definitely suffer and drown. Again, don't forget, when you are on a high sea and you are putting on life jacket, sometimes it attracts sea wild animals. So you need to avoid alcohol when you are going on the boat ride. Ensure that people on land understand your trip. Let's say, for example, you are moving from Asaba to Bomodi via boat. It is good for you to check on with your relatives or your supervisors on ground the time you take off and your expected time of arrival. Before you go on that ride, ask your sailor, how long will it take me to move from Asaba to Bomodi? And he says 3 hours. The person who is expecting you in Bomodi know that if you leave by 2, you should be there by 5. Once it is 5 minutes after 5, the people get worried. And what happens is rescue team will start coming to look for you, because they know when the ship wrecks, there's no way your phone can be on for you to be able to contact. So share your travel plan with people on ground, your supervisor, your relative, so as to ensure that when anything happens, they will be able to rescue. I'll give you a critical life truth when it comes to lifeguards. If the lifeguards within the shore know that you are expected to land on shore in 5 minutes, and they don't see you at 7 minutes, they are trained professionally to go back on the route to check whether anything has happened to you. The earlier they respond, the better for the victims. Know how to rescue somebody if you need to go on a boat ride. Learn first aid, because drowning is inevitable. It's only when you know how to save somebody that is drowned, that you can be saved as well. Probably if the shipwreck, if the people around you who know how to swim are able to provide first aid for you, probably if the sailor know first aid before you get on board, and the sailor is a good swimmer, and the shipwreck, when you are rescued on shore on board, please know that it is not the hospital that is the basis. Anybody who drown on the water need oxygen, because oxygen supply would have been cut off, and when oxygen supply is cut off for a period of 6 minutes, the brain cells start dying. So for you to go on a boat ride, ensure that people around you know how to administer CPR to ensure that when anything happens, you can be able to be safe. I believe these little tips will be able to guide us for whenever we take a decision, either you're going for picnic, or you're going for normal swimming, or you're going for professional tour on the river, on a boat ride, to be able to stay alive. Staying alive is our priority here on Delta Television. Ensuring that you're safe is a responsibility that we hold, and taking this simple guide will definitely keep us safe and ensure that professionalism is upheld. My name is Paul Orukamaya, your guide on safety.
Governor Sheriff, they give us more better things for Delta.
That's why, yo, so the truth.
Na truth, oh. This Ugeli why they stay so. Yes. Governor Sheriff, they do roads.
That's why, yeah.
He not only they do roads, so they also they do drainages to make sure say the roads where we go they get for Delta, not go poor. Me and you know say Governor Sheriff, they ready to give Deltas the best.
Yes. He talk now before he enter power.
As me and you they talk so, Adagrasa Road. Adagrasa now, where you say they go they meet that girl.
Which one?
That girl will say she not go fit marry you.
Okay.
Governor Sheriff don't rehabilitate Adagrasa Road. Yes, so. It's just about 1 year where Governor Sheriff enter power, so him don't start and complete different projects. Some of them he rehabilitate them.
More agenda, of course.
Yes, so.
You see, this thing when Oga Peter they talk so. Now truth, just about 1 year in office, Governor Sheriff don't complete different projects, and still they do more. As I dey road they travel the other day, I see and say Governor Sheriff they do rehabilitation for High Expressway, a 3-kilometer road. Now, not be only that one. Recently, when I travel, go see my friend for Warri South, I can see and say Governor Sheriff, he don't do rehabilitation, overlay of Ejegba Community Main Road, down to the roundabout.
Now that why you they talk? Me, I just they come from Oriso. When I hear say Governor Sheriff they do flyover and say na Julius Berger, I say make I go see with my eyes. Seeing is believing. I reach then I saw they look. I see and say Governor Sheriff they construct flyover from PTI Junction to DSA roundabout. I said now wow, Governor Sheriff just start. He go start with legacy projects. So. And it dey progress so even as we dey talk so.
More agenda.
Governor Sheriff transforming Delta.
This village so this road now Wakpa village. We thank our governor Sheriff. We make the road better for us so we feel pass the road well now.
Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
with Olise Fejika, Executive Assistant to the Governor of Public Enlightenment and Projects and Policies. But we did bring you safety tips with our safety expert, Paul Urukamaya, and he talked about safety on the water. So remember that before you go into, or before you take a boat trip, before you take go into the water, do not do alcohol, don't take alcohol, and don't take drugs, and always make sure that you have a safety vest on. What is that vest called? What? Safety vest?
A swimming vest.
A swimming vest on.
Can you swim?
I cannot. I
That's
cannot
a
swim
life
still.
saving skill. that
Exactly.
everybody
Everybody
suffers.
should learn how to swim. It's very important. It will help you a lot. But if you don't know how to swim like me, then avoid going into water. Just stay away from it because that's what I do. I don't go into water at all. All right, that's wrap up Morning Ride Wednesday's edition. That's all the package we have for you today. Ogaga, your last words.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us up until the end. Just like we stated earlier, as a Nigerian, and to get the best out of 2025, of course, you should have your goals and work towards achieving your goals. And of course, I also put it out there, be kind to your fellow Nigerians because Nigerians are going through a lot. Thank you so much for your time. It is I, Ogaga Ika. See you next time.
And for me, like I said, it's the 22nd day in the month of January 2025. It is time for you to start working on those goals, those aspirations that you have. It's never too late. The year just started, but you have to start working. Let's continue to be law-abiding citizens of our great country, Nigeria, and of course, our dear state, Delta State. Thank you so much for joining us on Wednesday's edition of Morning Ride. On behalf of the production crew, we say thank you once again. See you next week, Wednesday, and goodbye for now. Have a productive day.